UDC.
This morning we have two informative presentations discussing the Leonel Rondon Pipeline Safety Act. We have AVANGRID, National Grid, and UDC. All right, I'd now like to introduce our three speakers. Keith Anderson from AVANGRID. Keith is the gas records and mapping supervisor at AVANGRID and 23 years of experience in GIS. Thomas Donovan from National Grid. Thomas is the New York Gas Maps and Records Manager. And finally, we have Tom Helmer from UDC. Tom is an Executive Solution Architect. So, thank you guys.
Hi guys, I'm Keith. Thanks for coming out to our presentation this morning. Just want to start out with a quick poll here. Raise your hand. Who here works for a gas LDC? Less than I thought. Raise your hands. How many are familiar with this Pipeline Safety Act and the regulations that come with it? So we got a few. That's good. All right. So start why these regulations came in is back in 2018, the Columbia gas disaster, explosions throughout Merrimack Valley. Leonel Rondon was one person who perished during this accident or incident. So they named the act after him. You know, unfortunately, one of the things that's not on this thing is he actually just got his driver's license that day, and he was coming home from DMV. So we're going to fast forward to the following year. Senator Markey from over in Massachusetts put through this bill, 7 points for pipeline operators for compliance. You know, the big thing we're discussing up here is what is your organization doing to prepare, and how can we leverage our GIS investment to address this? So I'm going to start here. This is point one, cast iron, MAOP. Each distribution integrity plan developed by an operator of a gas distribution pipeline include the risk from the presence of cast iron pipes and mains, as well as risks they may encounter from the operation of the pipeline above the MAOP. So here, I'm just going to kind of go over what we are doing at CNG, SCG, and ACG for this. So the first is the cast iron leak survey, which up until this year was a complete paper process. Distribution maps being highlighted and spreadsheets coming back to a supervisor. This year we're actually rolling out a new, on field maps, complete operational dashboard, everything. Going to be doing all our leak surveys for that, which I will also be presenting on tomorrow. Also included with this, we do cluster analysis on any leak repairs that happen on cast iron, so we can give that segment a number for we know when it's time to really start replacing this. And coming soon under this for us is also going to be including in that analysis is inside meter locations, and we're going to really be focusing on getting rid of the cast iron that has inside meters associated with it. So now for the next point, I'm turning it over to Tom.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Joe, for the introductions as well. So one of the big points that came out of the incident, right, was getting communications out to the masses as things were happening. We work a lot with Northeast Gas Associations, and this was probably the biggest thing that ArcGIS Enterprise really brings to the table. So now you have a nice environment that as the guys are doing things in the field, it's kind of self-reporting, and you can generate your dashboards both for your internal consumption, your customers, and at least during this incident, they had a daily morning stand-up with the governor and all the press. So getting a system that was self-documenting, it really is key. These are just samples, if folks are familiar with the Act, put together That nice internal dashboard is key to keep abreast of where you're at for a given outage or event, all the way down to, in this case, as you're replacing all the appliances. So there's a very high fidelity of tracking of what needs to happen as you're remediating the event. Conversely, having the public-facing or customer-facing is very important as well. Again, coming from the exact same system, in the old days, we used to have to put in at least 2 separate ones, one internal, one external. But definitely with ArcGIS Enterprise, it gives you the power to drive both type of views so that it's always going to be coming from the same source. You're just customizing the view to give the information that you want to public, make aware. The third point or third part of the act is you got to have your emergency manuals, developed. Most gas companies, at least that I've been at, have this in spades. What's not there, and I think what the act is really meaning is make it accessible as part of that daily workflow. So here's an example. I didn't show the whole app, but the front part of this app is your nice map for the guy doing inspections. He double clicks his job card. This screen comes out. He's filling in attribution for that inspection. And over on the right, he has at his fingertips all the documentation that may be applicable to that activity. Right? So you want it for the day-to-day type of work, but you also want it for the emergency. So we call it gas OMS, but whatever you're using for your incident management system, you want the same thing. When they double click on the incident, it brings up what needs to be filled out, and you want to have the emergency preparedness manuals right there, the standard operating procedures right there at your fingertips. Whether it's web-based or mobile-based offline, as you're hearing all week long, right? The enterprise GIS for gas has to work online and offline. The biggest piece of the act, and this came almost straight from the transmission verbiage that got written up as the result of San Bruno. I was fortunate enough to be on the team that helped plan and put together the technologies after that. And this stack is very, very similar. There's a few things that are distribution only, but starting in the middle, of course, is a well-maintained, daily updated GIS, right, of everything that's going in the ground. And again, from an enterprise approach, being well integrated with your work management, being integrated with your engineering systems, hydraulic modeling. On the distribution side, being integrated with your AMI, right? Now you got AMI meters that can sense leaks now, so you definitely want to be integrated with that. The BI spatial analysis piece is huge, right? Both for internal and your external facing types of apps. Enterprise asset management, you've been hearing all week, right? Big believers in driving everything out of the GIS and closing with enterprise asset management for the money. I know those are built for doing your standard PMs, but big believer that the GIS is a better place to plan it all, generate it all, get it to the field, and then close with those enterprise asset management systems. As we mentioned, the mobile GIS, so having the digital design usually starts that, digital construction, and then of course the digital compliance, and then digital emergency response, gas OMS type of forms for the guys in the field. Risk modeling, here we're talking DIM. There's definitely acknowledges over on the transmission side with DIM. And then last but not least, we have one of the cores is a really nice content management system, right, for all that unstructured data that doesn't really fit the GIS or doesn't really fit in work management, but is key for the guy in the field to be safe. So with that, let's just ask Keith and Tom to chime in. We think these are key, right, for the TBC component of the Act, and they both kind of own that as-built-in process.
So at National Grid, we have something called GBE, which is Gas Business Enablement, and it's actually trying to coordinate all these different types of programs, maximum spatial, Salesforce, number of programs, some of the major drivers to actually make this reporting more timely than it was. We all have the data in different silos, and it takes months to get it all together. GE, hopefully, in the very near future, will get us to that point that we can have that at our fingertips.
So CNG and SCG are a little behind now. We're starting to peak at track and trace. Starting to also peak at a new document management system that will finally interact with our Esri tools in the office and in the field. I know there's a couple different projects going on with our processing technology group as far as digitally creating our designs, which possibly might interact with our GIS, but that's where we kind of stand right now.
We'll continue on. This is a big part of the act. So next down, having that as-built, so you have a good GIS that's tracking what you're putting in the ground is one part. The other part, though, when you read it, is tracking what you're doing in the field operational, right? So that as operating digital twin is really where they're pushing the gas companies to. So having, I call it not so much the GIS, but GIS technology in the op center, right? Referencing the GIS data, but using the GIS technology to be that place where the guys, I call it mimicking all the steps. So if he's sending out guys to open and close valves, pinch pipe, change regulator settings, you want him to record everything as it's happening. So when anyone wants to say, what's the condition, right, of my pressure system, it's right there for them. So it's very analogous to what we see on the power side. There really isn't a good technology on the gas side, at least that we've seen, but it seemed like the enterprise stack was a great fit. It integrates well with these other systems, easy to use from an operator's point of view, and really gives you at a glance a good view of where areas may need additional resources or further engineering analysis runs to check on the pressure systems. The other point from the Act, again, is using this type of framework for the compliance dashboards. So here, I'll make the handoff. I think I'm going to make it back to Keith. Yeah, here's his dashboards.
So like I talked about earlier, we're rolling out the leak survey tool this year. It's going to be for cast iron leaks, our walking survey. I'm trying to remember the other ones. But yeah, so we're starting to finally come into this digital age of, and it's nice. Our supervisors for this department are very excited about it. So we have, for here, showing the historical dashboard of the different leaks we've had, which is kind of mimicking our hotspot analysis.
All right, so point number 5 is current TBC record keeping for distribution. So operators to develop and maintain traceable, verified, complete and up-to-date records of the gas distribution system in each region of the operation. National Grid covers Massachusetts, upstate New York City, Long Island. We are all piloting a digital as-built process. Our compliance management is a little bit different because different states. You have to deal with Massachusetts, which is the driver of this, but New York is just as, I have to describe it.
They're following the same bus.
They're following the same bus, yes. And then finally, to go back to the gas business enablement, gas OMS, we don't necessarily have that yet, but we're making strides towards that. And it's just a process that we gotta clean our data, get on a usable utility network, and have all the interconnections between all the different systems working. It takes a while. We're in it 5 years. A long 5 years.
I mean, like I said, for us, with the digital construction as-built process, we're starting to peak at track and trace. We've been peaking at it since 2018. So hopefully, I know our project is supposed to get off the ground soon. Gas LMS, part of the SCG, BCG project did include that. So, you know, we're taking small steps. I mean, we're not anywhere near as large as National Grid, but you know, you're always looking for the money, and that's always the other tough part.
So, the last point before we get to the most interesting slide, let's talk about support for MET as operating digital twin. So again, we really think the ArcGIS Enterprise framework should be used in the Op Center, and that's what we're denoting as GIS OMX. So it's a complete copy so that everything that's happening in real time is being tracked there. It's not being tracked in the Enterprise GIS, but it has you know, services pointing back to the Enterprise for all the facilities. So all the operational information though is being tracked in this system typically. So you have the SCADA coming in continuously. AMI, I wouldn't say continuously, but as things change dramatically, you want to know about those. So I call more reporting by example. That would be way too much information for the operators to be seeing. And then synergy, right? I don't have a hint to that like we have on ADMS on the power side. So most of the clients have a really good engineering team that has built a good synergy model. Again, this is a copy of the synergy model, and they have a nice interface as well. So what we've done is, as you change anything in gas OMS, open, close, add pinch points, we send that with time of day and temperature, right, over to Synergy, you rerun the model, and bring back all that great engineering data and thematically display it in the gas OMS. So now you have that one place you can come to 7 by 24 by 365 that has what does my gas system look like, as well as what's my engineering values at the significant points right along the pressure system. So this is, to me, a great use of bringing the GIS technology itself into the Op Center and integrating it with other OT systems to give you a real nice experience, not only in the Op Center, but you saw some of the dashboards as well. So generating those dashboards for both internal users as well as external is key. Next up is Tom with the probably most interesting slide.
So if you haven't taken a picture yet of any of the slides, this is the one. Right? So it doesn't matter if you understood anything we said. These are not misprints. They increased the penalties from $200,000 to $20 million. They increased, the third sentence, $2 million to $200 million. So they're taking it seriously. And this is as of 2020. There's an adjustment for inflation. So 8% since 2020 every year, right? I don't believe anybody has incurred any of these penalties yet. I'm not sure anybody wants to be the first. However, to take this and go back and look further into these regulations to make sure that we're as compliant as possible is going to keep from a $200 million fine being levied against you, the company. I don't know. That scared me. I thought it was a misprint. I was like, no, that's wrong. It's like, no, I lifted it right from the thing. So yeah, this is that one slide that should be the, take a picture of it, bring it back to your leaders and people who make decisions and say, well, if you start making the wrong decisions, you're going to spend $200 million on a fine.
UDC